every day and night.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Constitutionalist Podcast. I am your host, Joseph M. Leonard. That's L-E-N-A-R-D. It looks French. It's not. It's Leonard without an O. Thank you for tuning in. As Graham Norton used to say on his show, let's get on with the show! Joining me today to talk education, or the lack thereof these days in our schools in the United States especially, but seemingly all Western culture, is Brian Wetzel. Welcome to the show, Brian.
Thanks for having me. I'm honored.
Yeah. Well, the first obvious question, and those viewing behind the scenes video will see your name on the bottom of the display. Why should anyone want to listen to someone about reading, writing, grammar, and spelling especially, whose parents couldn't spell Brian properly?
Well, let me ask you this. If you spell Ryan, do you spell it with an I? You do not. So that's my...
Well, my other joke I was contemplating, we couldn't get the A Ryan, we got the B Ryan.
No, the B Ryan is the A Ryan. I promise.
And for those listening on audio or reading in the transcript, which is probably already incorrectly spelled his name, it is Bryanwetzel.
When I drop my clips in sometimes to AI sites where they break it up into smaller versions, and it has the transcript of what's going on, it always spells it with an I. Drives me nuts.
Hey, and my audience is probably screaming at their smartphone or their laptop saying, you don't got any room to talk. You don't know how to spell Leonard. My last name looks French. It's not Leonard. It's Leonard, but with no O in it. So,
yeah, I was going through the drive-through at Chick-fil-A the other day, and the lady said to me, can I have a name for the order? I said, Brian. She's like, is that with a Y or an I? And I said, does it really matter? As long as you say it right, I'll come running for the food. I'm not going to be standing there going, is it an I or Y?
You're right. Yeah. Well, that's good. But yeah, I hear you. I used to use converter.app to transcribe all my shows. And I've tried many of them. All of them screw up names all the time. So
they do. They at least get the rest of the grammar right, but they're not great with names. And names are very subjective anyway, depending on where you're from and where your parents were from. And I have some friends who have some really goofy spellings. When you hear them say their name, it sounds normal. And then you're like, oh. Like I've been an small business employer for a long time. I think I've had 7 or 8 different Haleys with different spellings. I didn't know there were that many spellings for Haley, but apparently there is. There's Y's like and L's and E's and Y's, and there's A-L-E. I mean, it goes on and on.
There's the, right, all potentially influenced by Halley's Comet, but how bad can we screw up the spelling challenge? We got little unique, right? Everybody's special and unique, and yes, to a degree we are. We're all individuals, but right? My special child's got to have a special spelling for their name, kind of thing. But
yeah, that wasn't why my parents did it. But some people nowadays do. I just had this conversation with my wife the other day. She was going over some of the names that are in school now. She's like, I don't know where those came from.
And we're already off the rails. That's not, of course, what we're here to talk about. But yeah, educate. Well, let's where were you born and raised? Where are you now? Places you've been in between that are of significance, things like that.
Well, I was born in Stuttgart, Germany. My father was in the service at the time. And we moved, both my parents were from Pennsylvania, the Johnstown area. And I was there. We came home when I was almost a year old and lived in Pennsylvania for about 6 months. And then my dad got a job in Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia. And then after high school, I wanted to get out of Georgia for some reason because when you're kids, you think there's more out there than where you are.
Grass is always greener somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yep.
I moved to New York. I worked for several large corporations who sent me around. I lived in Las Vegas for a year. I lived in Los Angeles for a couple years. And then ironically, I got a job with an R&D lab that was located in Georgia. So I ended up moving back, and I've just sort of been here.
Reel you back in. Yeah.
Yeah. I've traveled a lot, though. I've been in every state in 9 countries, maybe. So I've been all over, and it's a good thing to travel because you get a better sense of how lucky you are where you are right now. I promise you.
And that's part of the problem with our schools. Our spoiled, entitled, uneducated brats here in this nation. But the way my ADHD OCD brain works now, I'm going to have the Johnny Cash, "I've been everywhere, man" song in my head.
Yeah. Yep.
But yes, education. Go on a rant.
Well, education is very much off the rails right now. I would say, so for the background, I started an education resource company with 2 friends. We created 1,500 educational videos, all with teachers. You can get them now for free on YouTube on Scoobs, Skubes, Ed, E-D, on YouTube, and you can go on there and watch all the videos. We also had created about 1,700 assessments that went along with them. And we were a site that was functional for quite a while. And then we went into selling the site to somebody else who ended up going bankrupt. So all of the assets came back to us. But the big thing is that during the 6-7 years that I was, by the way, I need to give background. My wife's a public school teacher. She's going on her 23rd year. But I had kids in the system also. During the 6 or 7 years that we were doing the company, I traveled all around the country. I met with thousands of teachers, administrators. I did speeches at all of the big events for state schools, principal meetings, you name it. And when I first started, I thought, when I get a peek behind the curtain, this will all start to make sense. And actually, it made less sense. It was more confusing. There's a lot of non-common sense decision making that continues to go on. And I started to realize, and particularly from state to state, just some of and it depends on where you're coming from on this, but like in California, you can't fail. They won't let you get below a C, even if you don't turn in your work. They also give you the entire school year to turn in your work, which some academic somewhere at a college level wrote a report or some study saying that this would allow kids to not feel so rushed and they would do it. But predictably, what teachers in California told me was that all the kids wait till the end of the year to try and get it done, and they can't get it all done. And so they're just failing worse. And you're not holding people to doing something. Whenever your teacher tells you something's due on Friday, that's similar to when your boss says, "I need this report on my desk by this time." That's the way the world works. I have a small business. We're not that corporate at all, but I still need things done when they need to be done. I don't tell people, "Hey, I need this stuff all put away in this back room cleaned out sometime between now and next January." But that's kind of how it's functioning. there's other, I'll give you a good example of that too. I know a teacher here in Georgia who received a child who they transferred from California, and this is an elementary school age. The report in her file from California said she was killing it. She was doing great. Couldn't have been doing better. Well, she's in third grade when she arrived here. She can't read or write. And one of the so every school system has procedures and rules that can't be broken, policies. One of those is that you can't hold a kid back or send them back an age unless you can see in their file that there's an issue. Well, because the California file showed that they were not having an issue. So now you have a third grade teacher who has one child who is so far behind the rest of the class.
Holds up everybody else.
Holds up everybody else. And she is struggling because and having breakdowns every day because she doesn't understand any of it. And
whereas an assessment test would have shown, this person clearly isn't ready.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Every life is a story. Some just end too soon. Ryan's life unfolds through words on paper, dreams of youth, love discovered, and the challenges of growing up. He found purpose in love, joy in family, and meaning in every small moment. But even the strongest hearts can break, and sometimes life takes unexpected turns. Through laughter and loss, Ryan leaves behind something greater than memories, a lasting legacy. A short story, A Lasting Legacy, by Joseph M. Leonard. A moving reflection on life, love, and the stories we leave behind. Available on Amazon in ebook, paperback, and hardcover editions. By Joseph M. Leonard.
Yes. And the prevailing thought, I guess, on that side of the issue is that they don't want to hurt kids' feelings, or they don't want to they don't want them to feel bad. But guess what? They're going to feel bad at some point because you're sending them down a hill on a car with no brakes. They're going to hit a wall at some point or a rock, and it's going to be harsh. Instead of just working on the problem, whether there's a learning disability or whatever it is, let's face it right now and get it over with. And that's those kind of failures drive me nuts. Also, and there was that in a lot of the inner city, like Chicago inner cities, and this report just came out, of 255 schools there, 75% of them aren't even 70% full. But they're still receiving millions of dollars. They're spending $93,000 per student in Chicago city schools, and they'll graduate most of the kids this year or last year with only 6% of them at grade level math and reading and writing. But then they'll brag that 88% of their students graduated. I'm like, but these things, you can't square these. This doesn't make any sense.
Devil's in the details. Yeah, I call it today's esteem over substance problem.
Very much so.
Really
If we don't tell them there's a problem, they may not notice it. Yes, they will.
Yeah.
It'll come out at some point.
They'll be
and
really
it'll hurt
dumb.
worse because they won't know how to deal with it.
Exactly. They'll be really dumb, but they'll feel real great about how dumb they are.
Yes. So in that same school district too, one of the things that should be alarming to people is that you're graduating kids who are never going to be able to make it in life higher than a blue collar job at a fast food restaurant. Because how can you get out of school and not know how to look? I don't think that I advocate that when you get into high school, you shouldn't have to take trig and calculus and all these things. It should end at probably algebra, things that you might use in a year. I mean, elementary school math is definitely necessary because we use that.
Unless you're going for a STEM degree.
Right.
Yes. I agree.
If that's your area, if you love, like my dad was a CPA. He loved math. I hated math, which by the way made great arguments during math homework because he understood it and I didn't. And he couldn't understand why I just couldn't understand it. And I like,
how can you be my
love
boy
this.
and not
I don't love
understand
this.
math, right? Yeah.
Yes. But that also highlights an issue that some people have a math brain. Some people love math. I'll tell you a funny story too. My son was really good in math, and he really hated high school. Didn't try very hard, but he did great in math. One day I said to him, "So what do you want to do? You should maybe be an engineer or something. Real good with math. You should do something with math." And he said to me, "Dad, just because I'm good at math doesn't mean I like math." And I said, "Okay, well I can't argue at that point." But anyway, back to Chicago City Schools. You're just setting them up for long-term failure. And I don't understand, like the powers to be say they're trying to help kids, but this doesn't add up. It's almost like you're keeping them uneducated on purpose. When people have that theory, I used to think that's nuts. But sometimes when I hear like Baltimore City Schools, they'll only graduate about 16% of their students at grade level math and reading and writing. And it's not that they don't know how to teach. Now, I will say this. One of the other big problems is that a lot of I hate dividing things among politics, but I'll have debate all you want. I don't hate anybody for believing what they believe. In blue cities, in particular, in many blue states, deep blue, they prioritize teaching what they call SEL, social and emotional learning, over math, reading, writing, the things that we need to get out in life and be functional. Teaching someone how to be nice, I'd really let that be left up to the parents. Let that
job.
be left up if you go to church, whatever it is. But that should be left to the home. The fact that you're taking up precious time in school and you're taking away. And by the way, they've started to insert it in some really deep. I heard some really disturbing things. There's a professor who's a math professor who just left college, who's been raising the alarm about this for on. His name's Dr. James Lindsay. He has an example, and I've heard similar ones where they're inserting social and emotional learning into math now. And you'd be like, how's that possible? Well, let me tell you.
So math is racist.
Well, I had a debate with someone about that, and I've destroyed them because math comes from the Middle East. It comes from China. It comes from Europeans also added to it. Math that we use today is collectively, even African countries in Egypt and areas, they developed math, and other countries added to it. And there's no way to make that claim. Anyway, so if you want to put in social emotional learning into math. So here's a good example. Let's say you do a word problem. The math teacher says, Johnny and Susie they're going to go to a park, an amusement park with their parents. The amusement park is this far away. They're driving this speed. They've already driven this far. How much farther and how much longer is it going to take to get there? Sounds like a simple word problem. But what happens is now the teacher gets to insert. Now, how many of you have been to an amusement park? And it's only half. They say, well, don't you think that's terrible that your parents get to choose? Maybe someone other than your parents should get to choose whether you get to go to an amusement park. And then should you be driving a minivan because of climate change? And by the way, why does it have to be Susie's father and mother? Could it be a father and a mother and a mother? Yeah. And so now the math, you're like, wait, was this a math question or is this another question?
No, it's a social engineering. You said so many things. I want to make a couple points. I love math. I joke in my books. All right.
So you're one of those weirdos.
Yes, exactly. I joke in my books. I hope my writing style doesn't throw you too much and proves the adage how much I loved math over English in school. But yeah, I wanted to be an accountant. And
Oh,
I got to calculus and I'm like, there are no calculus problems in regular math accounting. I don't need this. I'm out of here, right?
yeah,
I don't care how tall the flagpole is based on its shadow. Can
yeah.
I add or not? Like Corey, I'm sorry, I'm outing you. Used to work for A&W that I went to. Couldn't do basic math. I mean,
Right.
it comes to $5 even, and I'm handing you a $10 bill.
Yeah.
Still needs a calculator for the change?
So
On
there used to be a Kroger not far from me, and for about a year, they did an experiment with what they called change maker registers. Now, when I tell you how this was supposed to work, you're going to go, "Oh, I can already see why this lasted a year." They had 3 registers that they were trying out. They were trying this out so they could see if they could bring it out nationally. The way to move the line faster was that the checker would scan everything, then zero out the cash register, and then give the receipt to a person at the other end. And that person at the other end would take the payment. And there was no register down there. So when they got cash, they had to do the math in their head. So that the registers kept coming up short or over. And I was like, they came up over. That means that the customers couldn't do the math either.
Right.
Someone got shorted and didn't even notice it.
You don't even really have to do the math. You can count it back. $5.55. A nickel makes 60, 4 dimes make 6, 4 more dollars get you to 10 that you gave me. There.
Yeah.
It's just simple, common sense stuff if we teach basic math rather than Commie Core idiocy math. And as you said, the SEL idiocy. I also coined in my books, my Constitutionalist Education series, we're peddling the new R's: radicalism, raunch, and racism through CRT. All this social emotional learning garbage rather than reading, writing, arithmetic, history, and I joke virology and science because the kids are too stupid to not know an R doesn't belong in those two.
Well, on the ranch in my book, I have pictures of pictures that were found in elementary school books all over the country. And when people see them,
I can imagine.
People who, by the way, would argue initially that we shouldn't be banning books. I'm like, well, take a look at these pictures and tell me what you think. And they go, those weren't in. And I said, no. They're like, you mean high school? I'm like, no, that's the elementary school.
Yeah, not prudes either. They immediately.
By the way, it doesn't belong in a high school library
book either. I agree, but yeah, exactly. I've got an article at the Liberty Beacon. Yeah, peddling porn to children in our grade schools, those not destined to already be murdered in the womb before they even get out to be indoctrinated. But yeah, exactly. Let kids be kids. They don't need this adult thought garbage in their brains in grade school. And as you said, it's on the news all the time. So-and-so's kicked out of the school board or city council meeting because they're reading the raunch that's in the book in the grade school. Oh, that's not appropriate for the school board or the city council. Then why the hell is it in a 6-year-old's book?
All right. I'll tell you an interesting story about that. So I had found I was doing research for my book, and it was on the pictures I was talking about. So I thought there's a lot of scientists or researchers in psychology out there who have written over the years the dangers of introducing porn or even racy, like Playboy or whatever, to somebody too young and what it does to them down the line.
I even contend they should. Colleen Hoover, softcore romance novelist, porn in my mind doesn't belong in grade schools. You know, if they
Mm-mm.
want to go to the library in high school and check it out of the library, but it can't be required reading. What happened To Kill a Mockingbird, to teach about the
I
idiocy
I
and
have that
Martin
in my
Luther,
book also.
right?
I have a whole
Martin
thing in there
Luther,
about my book.
yeah, Martin Luther King Jr., content of character. That's
Yeah.
about that. But no, we can't have them read that. We got to peddle this CRT garbage.
So in Seattle, Washington State schools, there was a group that tried to get, that have successfully gotten To Kill a Mockingbird taken out of the schools. Now, when I first read the headline, I thought, there's no way that's because the message is positive. I would think that
Orwell
they would
and
lean into it, but
Brand
what
all
they
gone.
said was that they don't want people thinking that a white person has to come along and save them. And I thought, in a time when the black people didn't have rights, you needed somebody to stand up and be that champion. You should be celebrating that, not
That's also
diminishing
part of
it.
our history that isn't being taught. It's a
Right.
history lesson as well as a. They love social engineering. It's a social
Right.
engineering book in a way too. Hit part history. Now you
Yeah.
mentioned your
Oh, wait a
book.
minute. So real quickly,
Oh,
so the when I was looking for researchers who had studied the what introducing porn too early to children would do, I found a doctor, I think he was in Wisconsin, psychologist who had done many research projects. So I asked him, we do an interview. We do the interview, and when he realized what I was talking about, he said, I don't want you to use my name and I don't want you to use this interview in my book, in the book. I said, well, why not? He said, because pictures in elementary school aren't necessarily porn. I said, sir, I got pictures of dildos being inserted in people having anal sex from element. I said, are you telling me? He said, listen, this is a subject that will get me banned from my college. You cannot do it. He wouldn't give me permission.
yeah.
And on the
Does
thing that
not
I was just talking
surprise
about
me.
with To Kill a Mockingbird, I can't remember her name, but one of the most famous black sports reporters from the 60s and 70s said in a speech that the if that what made Jackie Robinson's his career, what helped that along was the fact that Pee Wee Reese and several other white players embraced him in front of the crowds, and that made it okay, and that was needed because otherwise it would have been a longer battle. And she was chastised for that comment. And I thought, but that's a factual statement. If I was in the middle of Zimbabwe, I would be in danger of being something happening to me. I would need somebody there to say, no, I approve. Somebody important enough to say, I approve. Leave him alone. But those common sense
Yeah,
things don't get
well,
brought up.
right. It's never a two-way street. Now, you mentioned the book. Let's give the title.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Joseph M. Leonard, host of Constitutionals, taking a brief moment to thank myarchic.com. Together, we share the Christian and family value of honoring family. Myarchic.com helps you do that. Preserving family memories online also, therefore, can be shared online. Think of MyArchic like a Noah's Ark for images, audio, video, preserving, honoring your family. Thank you again to the folks over at myarchic.com.
Oh, it's the real problems destroying education in America, and then the subtitle to it is, "And we're all to blame," because it's a tug of war of like 10 different factions, all wanting their place. But I will say this. This is the one thing I start the book off with is that if you think I'm going to tell you that it needs more money, you can fold the book up now because that's not the case. And I make a completely solid argument. I actually interviewed a couple Harvard researchers, a lady out of Stanford, and there's anecdotal information if you know what Title I money is. Title I money goes to poor schools, and yet those schools almost never come off of Title I.
Right.
And
it's all money laundering. Yeah. And the more and more we spend, the worse and worse the education levels fall. So
yeah,
it's
that's
not
the fact.
an issue of
every
money.
dollar made education better, every time they added more money, we should see the results tick up.
But
we're
the
seeing them tick
opposite
down.
always happens. Yes.
Yeah. So that's the first chapter is let's just get this out of the way. Is that money? If you think money is going to solve education, it would already be solved.
Yeah.
Almost a quarter of most state budgets is education. Some of them have more than that. In California, it's more.
Then it's usually the argument, well, you just want to go back to the community school teacher that doesn't get any money. No. We want
my wife is a teacher.
We want good
and
teachers to be paid well, bad teachers to be fired.
Yeah, that'll never happen.
Right.
Because it's like most industries, they protect each other, and nobody wants to be the one to do that. I will say this though, whenever I get into a debate, and I had one not long ago over vouchers or school choice. All these people say, well, school choice and vouchers just taking money away from the local public school. And I say to them,
yes,
you know what? I think that public schools are necessary. They should be better. And I said, if you don't want them to leave the school, do better. Just do better. That's all anyone's asking. Nobody wants to drive their kid. They would rather put them on the bus. Nobody wants to drive their child out of the way. It takes extra time every day to have to go and pick them up. The only reason they do that is because they feel like that's the only choice they have.
Yep.
Just do better.
Yep.
The problem is that it's always about money. You're defunding the local public school. Well, guess what? You might, and I've heard I can't remember this lady's name. It's been a while since I read the research, but she's out of Stanford and she studied this for a long time. One of the things she said was that a lot of public schools are overpopulated. If you diminished the population by 20%, you might get better education out of that because now there's more individualized.
All our classroom
The second problem that people seem to think, they're always like, well, it's the teacher. I got news for you. Where the child goes home to every night has a bigger impact on what the kid does.
You have to be the first educator, not
if a
the
child goes home
babysitter.
to a house where parents are doing drugs, one of them's in jail, they don't know if they're going to get fed. It's a uneasy, unsecure life. Doing homework is not in their peripheral. It's just not. And that's why I often tell people that a more stable home and a parent who stays on top. We used to punish our kids if you got a 0 on a project or homework, whatever, because I'd always tell them, look, I wasn't a great student. If you get a bad grade, we can work with that. We can get better.
But zero effort.
But just not doing it is not an option. I'll tell you a funny story about that. I coached baseball for 16 seasons. In there, when my son was younger, probably 11, 12, if he got a 0, he had to run the field for 5 laps for every 0. And some of the parents said, hey, can we get in on that? I said, yeah, if you come here and say he didn't do this, I want him to run the laps. He will run the laps before he gets to start practice. Well, the city sent me a letter saying I can't do that.
Cease and desist, right? Yeah.
And I said, but I have permission from the parents. They said, you can't do that. I said, well, okay, you know what? I'm still doing it with my own child. It's my child. I'm the coach. I can handle this however I want. And I had to go to the parents. And then the parents were like, well, who ratted us out? I'm like, I don't know, but we should find out. Someone up here in the stands. Or maybe another team. I don't know, but it was working. It always worked. When I was a kid, I'll tell you a funny story too. When I was in high school, I was privileged in a way. I went to a country school. It was a great high school. We had a lot of award-winning coaches who not only coached football and baseball and track and basketball, but they were also really good. The debate teacher was the basketball coach. One of my math teachers was the football coach, a football coach, one of them. And they kept all of us boys in line. If the math teacher called down to the head coach and said he was acting like a jackass today in class, you did not want to get to football practice because it was going to be brutal for you. And you'd be called out and you'd have to run. I had to do come call his name out. Coach Connolly's class, he taught math. And I was being a jackass. I was talking. I didn't hand in my homework. He made me do carpet drills, which are where you jog in place, you hit the ground, and you pop back up, you jog in place. They call them up and downs now. I don't know why, but we used to call them grass drills. He called them carpet drills. I had to do those beside his desk while he's teaching on the board. Okay, I never forgot that. And I also turned in my homework after that because you have to have some leverage in school, and they just have taken that away from the teachers. If you
Spare the rod, spoil the child, which does not mean beat your children.
Right,
That's not what it means.
Right. You don't have to be cruel. You just have to make a statement. And most teachers, this is another thing. When I surveyed almost 269 teachers why they were leaving the profession. Pay was number 3, not number 1. It was behavior and stress. And those were, it was 1 and 2, very close. Most of the stress is from behavior. And what they'll tell you is that the administration doesn't support them anymore. And my wife can tell you the same stories she's had to other teachers. I've heard teachers where they send them down to the classroom for disrupting class, and they get sent back 15 minutes later. He said he's fine. Said he won't do it again. And they'll say, well, that child gets...
Even though it's his 15th time, he won't do it again.
Yes, because they don't want to deal with the parents. But here's the thing. They'll argue that child still deserves an education. It's like, yeah, and so do the other 20 kids in class who he's now disrupting.
The others don't deserve to be deprived.
Yeah. Yes. And so I know a teacher who a child threw something, hit her, fractured her wrist. He was back in class 2 days later, in her class. That is not the way to keep teachers, and that's why we're losing good teachers. That is why there's almost 100,000 openings right now for teachers, and they're saying in the next 5 years it'll be 200,000. Nobody's going into the profession. I called Kennesaw State, where they have a teaching program that's big around Georgia and the Southeast. They don't have any full classes for early childhood education. People have gotten the word. There's no support. It's just, and there's a lot of stress now. They have put a lot more. My wife has been teaching for 23 years. She'll tell you what she has to do. She will go in at, she'll be there till 5 easily, but which is not a big deal. It's a job. But the thing is that there's more on her to do every day than there ever was. They just keep piling more and more on. And then to make matters worse, if you're in the school where they're doing SEL, you're now having to throw that into the middle of all of your regular teaching. And it's just too much. It's amazing how many teachers I interviewed were on anti-anxiety medicine. And that's a sad statement to that profession.
Back to what you were saying, a lot of people don't want, the ones who want to do something or try are resisted from being able to do anything. And those go-alongs to get-alongs, a big problem, as you said, don't want to do anything. Well, again, back to your point too. Point the finger. Remember, 3 of your own fingers are pointing back at you, kind of thing. I also did a song just the other day. I'm going to tack it on the end of this episode. Evil prevail. The only thing necessary, evil prevail, good peoples do nothing. Your silence isn't violence, but it's complicity.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah. There's many philosophers who have made statements similar to that it's not the person who committed, it's not the person who commits the crime is not the only one who is guilty. It's the people who stood by and did nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say we're losing good teachers in most states, you have to get your teaching degree, then you have to do what's called TOS. You have to work for free in a classroom for a year, shadowing another teacher. You have to student teach. And then you have to take, there's two of them. There's the praxis and there's another one. I can't remember what it's called. That's to get your teaching certification. I mean, in other words, it's like the bar, but for teachers. In New Jersey, they were so short of teachers, they've gotten rid of the certification test. And now, as long as you have you had an 800 on your SAT, you can become a teacher. You haven't been to school to be a teacher. You haven't proven you can teach, but they need them so bad. And when I talk about the lack of common sense, so the reason teachers are leaving the profession in New Jersey also is that the stress and all the things I mentioned. What do you think is going to happen to these new teachers that come in with less experience? The stress is going to get them, and then what are you going to do? You're going to take people and give them early release from prison if they go and teach school. You haven't reduced the problem.
The
All you've done is put a Band-Aid on it.
For that, yeah.
Yes, yeah. But you put a Band-Aid on a bigger problem, and it's the scab's going to pull off when you pull the Band-Aid up. You haven't done anything to fix the real issues. And they won't fix it because most governors and politicians and local school boards, they see optics before they see anything else.
I'm going to mention another song I did recently, Tough Love Gospel. And one of the lines in it, you put a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. Right? If I take the thorns out of the Bible story, it's a different story. You've got to teach the tough love part of the Bible. The show tries to do. There's the encouragement and the hope, but there's also the you've got to do better. We expect you to do better part. So I'm going to tack tough love on the end of this too. But time has flown, of course. Yep. Do you have a website? Now you mentioned scobies.ed, SCOU.
Scoobs. Yep. Yes, if you go to BryanThomasWetzel.com, BryanThomasWetzel.com. It was a site that was actually put up by my daughter, and then I just sort of started adding pages to it, but it's got all the links to everywhere that I'm present. And I'll respond. Wonderful. I have a lot of people that send me questions. I have a lot of teachers that they want to tell me their stories, like they have nowhere else to vent. And I love those stories. I told my wife one day, maybe I'm going to put all of these stories in one book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like Dragnet, the names have been changed to protect the innocent, right?
If you can call it, they're not all innocent. The teachers in most cases are innocent. I always tell people, don't get mad at the teacher. They're the worker bees at the bottom that are being driven by. Now, that's not true. There are some activist teachers out there who enjoy.
Let's be fair here, honest about it.
Overall, and I honestly didn't interview any teachers in really heavily union states. But overall, most of the teachers I talked to said they were uneasy having politics or sex or social stuff introduced. They didn't feel it was their place. And I'll tell you a funny story about that before we go. It's a short story. When my wife started school this year, all the parents come the couple of days before school starts to meet the teacher. She, more than ever, this last 2 years have gotten people whispering to her, "Now you're not going to be teaching," and she's like, "No, not where we are. That's not going on." But that's how much that people fear, and that's also leading to more people exiting and doing school choice or homeschool. do better. You won't have people leaving your school.
Exactly. That competition generally breeds everybody to be better. There are always some try to cut corners and cheat and to get ahead and whatnot. But yes, competition. But they fear competition. They want to just be able to coast and do what they're doing. The administrations,
Yes.
again, they want them trapped in the zip code indoctrination factory. No options, no choices.
Well, what people don't realize is they get paid what's called by daily average attendance. So when attendance is not there, they're getting less money to the county.
Yeah.
And
It's all
that affects
them,
the people at the top who are getting the big salaries more than it affects the teachers.
Yep.
And they don't like that.
Nope.
They just want you to keep coming so they can keep getting the state and federal money.
Yep. Whereas now, as we've both said, if they were forced to do better by competition alone, they wouldn't be losing the students.
No, they wouldn't.
But they can't grasp that. Or they
it's
just
all about
don't
optics.
they don't care to grasp it. All right.
Yeah.
Communistic force is easier for them if they can get the government to use the barrel of a gun to make you do something that benefits them at the top, not the kids.
That's basically my Substack article this week I just posted.
Yeah, this show's all about biblical community, free will, choice, options. You have to want to be your brother's keeper, not by the barrel of the gun be forced to have something stolen from you and given to so-and-so. It's also why Jesus said the poor will always be among you. Not a governance or economic statement, a human nature statement. There will always be some, especially if there's people that always give them things, who will do nothing for themselves.
Yes. Yeah.
Anyway, all right. Thanks, Brian Wetzel.
All right.
It was a great conversation. Like with most guests, we could go for hours or days, and then nobody will watch because it's too long.
I'm more interesting than that.
Yeah, well, today's TikTok attention span, right?
Okay.
Oh, give me the fake headline. I've got another song on that, clickbait everywhere, and, details matter, but the details are buried in paragraph 10 where they hope you won't bother. Too long, didn't read mentality. Right? Details are in paragraph 10. They hope you won't get to, but just buy into the fake headline instead.
Yes, very much. Very
all
accurate.
Right. Now, let me move aside my soapbox and stop my rants. Thank you again, Brian Wetzel.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me on.
Only thing necessary for evil prevail. What they say, good peoples do nothing, doing nothing. The state with most today. The world keeps turning, a dark, strange place. Good folks are yearning for a saving grace. The ship has sailed, they say, on a troubled tide. But what do you do today with nowhere to hide? Questions I've been asking in all my writings. What's your move? Just what about is it you're willing to try to do? Evil prevails when good just sleeps. Light sometimes fails while the darkness creeps. What are you doing now? Tell me, how will you take a bow for The news, it screams a broken sound, lost in bad dreams on hallowed ground. They say it's all lost cause, a losing fight. But what about your applause for what is right? Only thing it takes for shadow to prevail is a crowd of quiet hearts scroll inside, then turn away. Say this world is torn apart. Shit's gone out past the rusted pier. We just watch it fade. On this fallen ground we're standing, still afraid to wait. So what are you doing? What are you doing now to help the light, help the light, help the light break through the doubt? Are you just waiting for someone else to move? Or will you stand, will you stand, will you stand and be the proof? Tell me, what are you doing? What are you doing? Good folks in a quiet room, hands clean, eyes closed, say someday I'll make a change. Someday never shows. Every hurt you walk right past cuts a deeper line. Every that's not up to me helps the dark align. So what are you doing? What are you doing now to help the light, help the light, help the light break through the doubt? Are you just waiting for someone else to move? Or will you stand, will you stand, will you stand and be the proof? Tell me, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? It's a hard, hard question. Looking back at you, yeah, in the mirror, in the silence, you already know what's true. If you breathe and you're required to answer with your life, every minute that you're given takes a side. It ain't all sweet songs by the fire, warm hands, soft words, pretty choirs. If I cut out the thorns from the story, I'd be dressing up a grave as glory. This is tough love gospel, not just campfire shine. If I sand down the edges, I turn truth into a lie. Reality or delusion, I can't serve both sides. I'm not here just for the choir, I'm here where the hurt hearts hide. Yeah. Some pages bleed red in the margins, Hard lines, hard calls, hard bargains. If I skip over storms for your comfort, then your house gets washed in the flood water. This is tough love gospel, not just campfire shine. If I sand down the edges, I turn truth into a lie. Reality or delusion, I can't serve both sides. I'm not here just for the choir, I'm here where the hurt hearts hide. Oh, do you want a dream or do you want a mirror? Do you want a joke or do you want it clearer? If the truth cuts deep, let it cut through fear. Better scars that heal than a sweet lie in your ear. This ain't cotton candy truth, ain't a campfire sing-along rhyme. You can't sell sweet dreams while the house burns behind. If it never cuts deep, it was sugar all along. If you skip the hard pages, you just rewrote the song. This is tough love gospel, not rainbows on a wire. If you hide the hard words, you're just fanning the fire. I won't preach delusion just to make it sound lighter. If I only soothe the choir, I'm a singer, not a fighter. You can hum all the feel-good lines while your neighbor breaks inside. Quote hope like a slogan, then look away from the crime. But a bandage on a bullet wound is a pretty little lie if the truth never offends us. Did we ever even try? This is tough love gospel, not rainbows on a wire. If you hide the hard word, you're just fanning the fire. I won't preach delusion just to make it sound lighter. If I only soothe the choir, I'm a singer, not a fighter. I'd rather lose that crowd than sell them painted grace. I'd rather stand alone than smile and dodge the weight. Don't ask for easy comfort, then curse the honest cost. Love that never warns you will leave you more than lost. This is tough love gospel, not rainbows on a wire. If you hide the hard words, you're just fanning the fire. I won't preach delusion just to make it sound lighter. If I only soothe the choir, I'm a singer, not a fighter. Oh, if I dress up the danger, I'm a liar, not a writer. Tough love. The Bible isn't just rainbows and lollipops, singing kumbaya around the campfire. You cannot ignore the harsh reality drops. To peddle such makes you a liar. Reality versus delusion, speaking not just to the choir. This, that, and in all things transpires.
Life can be like an amusement ride, but not always amusing. Roller coasters, the life kind. Now available on Amazon.
That's our CTP LDR. Yeah. Scrolling fast, attention attention gone in seconds flat. TikTok brain, Twitter span, can't handle that. Headline screen, but the truth is buried deep. 10 paragraphs down where the lazy never reach. They say TLDR like it's some kind of flex. Too stupid to read, too lazy to check. Details matter, context matters, facts don't lie. But you'd rather stay ignorant, wonder why. TLDR. Too long didn't read. You skip the truth and swallow the spin they feed. TLDR. Too lazy to see, now you're lost in delusion. But that's on you, not me. I ain't here to spoon feed the choir. I'm here where the lazy hide, setting shit on fire. Details matter, context matters, history too. If you gloss over it all, that's on you. I coined it myself. Twitter, TikTok, attention span. Now even I catch myself saying, damn, this is long, man. But I push through cause I know the devil's in the details. You skip them and you end up believing all the fake headlines. I shorten chapters in my books, cut the story lean, cause 99% won't read if it ain't short and clean. Even wrote a whole CTP episode back in December 2025. Called it TLDR, and here we are, still barely alive. TLDR. Too long didn't read. You skip the truth and swallow the spin they feed. TLDR. Too lazy to see, now you're lost in delusion. But that's on you, not me. I ain't here to spoon feed the choir. I'm here where the lazy hide, setting shit on fire. Details matter, context matters, legalities too. If you gloss over the TOS language, that's on you. Mass hoes. Mass hoes. Masses of the asses, clueless and proud. Falling for the dumb and down, screaming loud. Fake news buries facts 10 paragraphs deep. While you're swiping up, thinking you're informed but you're asleep. You want the bullet points, the 15-second clip. But reality don't come in convenient little scripts. Trust but verify, Reagan tried to teach. But you rather stay dumb than practice what you preach. This ain't hate, this is tough love, straight no chaser. I made the song to be the mirror, not the eraser. Even this episode I kept short on purpose, so you have no excuse, but still some won't surface. Details matter, facts matter, context ties it tight. Skip them at your own risk. Stay lost in the night, from software terms to border fights to welfare lies. If you won't read the fine print, enjoy the surprise. Too long didn't read. You skipped the truth and swallowed every lie they feed. TLDR. Too lazy to see reality over delusion. That's the key. I ain't here just for the choir. I'm here where the hurt and the lazy hide. Details matter, every single line. If you won't read or listen, then stay blind. Yeah, TLDR. Too long didn't read, but this song's over now. Still too long for some of y'all, I bet. CTP, December 2025. TLDR episode, called it first. That was the song, cause the crisis only got worse. And like clickbait everywhere, tune outlines. Observe, take the time. Absurd, choose reality over delusion. Details matter. Read the damn thing.
Like and subscribe to Constitutionalist Politics Podcast and share episodes. We need your help.
Thank you for having tuned into another Constitutionalist Podcast show. I really appreciate that you stopped by. Again, please like, share, subscribe. We need you to help spread the Constitutionalist movement. Thank you again. Take care. God bless. Love you all.
Every day and night, believes in freedom and making his voice heard, sharing his message over all the earth. God loves you, for all